Stamp duty removal. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my stein of coffee. I thought we'd have a look at this article, which is trying to persuade people not to wait for the potential removal of stamp duty. Now, stamp duty is one of those taxes that most people don't really hate until you have to encounter it. But the states love it. You know, they love pushing up property and they love the revenue they get from this stamp duty. You know, it wouldn't be so bad if the different taxes we pay remained in the departments that got them. If our stamp duty was only used to just cover the costs for maintaining the title office and such, I'm sure it wouldn't need to be as insanely high as it is. It's a big burden on people transacting in property, and considering we're all so property obsessed, no wonder the states want to fuel it. No wonder they want to bring in international students and bring in more migrants and encourage spending in property left, right, and center. They'll give you this $25,000 because they know they're going to get it back in stamp duty one way or another. And there have been suggestions to remove stamp duty. There are even other suggestions which I consider worse, is to implement a yearly land tax, like they have on commercial property and in other parts of the world. Fantastic. Just always finding ways to tax you. But let's have a look at this piece that was written. So don't hold off buying due to stamp duty removal rumors. Experts. I think this needs to be in there we go, in inverted commas. While talk of state governments potentially scrapping stamp duty is positive, property experts warn that the tax won't be scrapped without a replacement, which could possibly be more expensive over the life of your property purchase. Yeah, that's the thing. They're never going to just remove a tax. They're never going to remove a tax and give a savings to people. You know, yet they'll argue they'll take more wages out of you and force you to put into super, and they'll tax you when you buy a home. If people realized how much they were taxed, how much of it is wasted, and how inefficient it is, they'd probably get a little frustrated. They really would, particularly if you're trying to crack into this market. Veronica Morgan, real estate agent, property expert and host of Location on Foxtel. So obviously someone completely unbiased, giving us fair and reasonable advice. What do you reckon? Warned buyers not to hold off. Don't hold off, guys. Don't hold off purchasing due to the tantalizing promise of lower taxes. What do you think, everyone? I've got a whole lot of other reasons to hold off, a whole lot of other ones. Maybe the fact that we've got mortgage holidays that are keeping people from having forced sales. Maybe the fact that we've got JobKeeper propping up zombie businesses. Maybe the fact that international tourism is dead. Maybe the fact that international student numbers are dead. Maybe the fact that borders between our states are still closed. What else? Oh, my favorite one. My favorite one is that restrictions on, or just the ability to trade while insolvent, director's personal liability. That's all been thrown up in the air. All of that's coming back in September. So those would be the arguments where I would suggest maybe holding off a little bit and just waiting to see what happens to the market. I mean, am I being unreasonable there, everyone? Stamp duty is probably the least on my mind right now. I'm not a fan of it. It's frustrating when my mother sold her property, there's a big chunk going there to stamp a piece of paper. Or when we bought our property, a big chunk of money that went there to stamp a piece of paper. So, anyway. Why? Because the newer version of stamp duty may end up costing home buyers more in the long run. And that is the biggest fear. That is the biggest fear. We need to really find ways to lower the tax burden on the citizens of our nation, one way or another. Because it's just another tax, everyone. Just another tax. Just as sellers are being told to get their homes to auction now rather than waiting until spring, buyers are being warned they shouldn't hold out for a change in the tax system. I mean, is anyone else holding out for the potential removal of stamp duty? I don't know. This is the first I've heard of it, that people are apparently waiting for this. Executive Manager of Economic Research at realestate.com.au, Cameron Kushner, agreed. He said, while talking about removing stamp duty is getting louder, there have been murmurs about scrapping stamp duty for years, and so far the ACT is the only state or territory that has made the change. Wait, so the government, the politicians, get around it? Well, I don't know what to say. I'm not surprised anymore. Even if stamp duty is scrapped, homeowners will most likely end up paying the cost in some way, shape or form. It's just unlikely to be upfront, he explained. If replaced, stamp duty would most likely be swapped with another tax. Buyers may not realize that if government abolishes stamp duty, they will be looking to replace it with some other kind of tax, said Miss Morgan. Yeah, that's the thing. We need to advocate to get rid of stamp duty and not have a land tax. Maybe reduce some services that the state governments provide that could be passed on to consumers there. I'm sure there's a lot of dead weight. There's a lot of bureaucrats. There's a lot of people pushing paper around that think they're actually being a productive person. Maybe it'd be too hard of a hit to the ego to realize they're not. There's currently talk that stamp duty will be phased out once and for all, and we're all waiting for those plans to be revealed. However, even if there's little mention or detail about a new tax, it's more than likely one will be imposed at some point, she said. So will those of us that have paid stamp duty, will we be exempt from that tax? Will we get credited as stamp duty cost to that tax? Will that be a disincentive to sell? If you want to sell and you buy another property, all of a sudden you're paying land tax. Governments actually don't like stamp duty either. Really? I don't know. They seem to love it. They seem to be doing everything they can to prop up property, but we'll run with it. It's quite an inefficient tax because if there's not a lot of transactions, government revenue goes down. True. With the economic ramifications of the pandemic, tax-wise, anything is currently up for grabs. So I think governments will be wanting to replace it with a more effective type of tax. Well, they want to find another way to tax because for the first time in 30 years, property is looking to take a hit and they're looking to get a dent in their revenue stream. So it's not about caring about you or taking care of you. It's just about extracting resources from their tax cattle, their tax livestock. State and territory governments collect $18.8 billion in stamp duty revenue in the 18 to 19 financial year. But the figure was down from $21.7 billion the previous year, the lowest it's been since 14-15, figures of the ABS showed. A land tax could be more expensive in the long run. This is what Steve Keen and others are calling for, a land tax. Just another taxation, guys. What would you rather? Get that $100 grand debt jubilee and then just pay for it more over the life of your property? It's all about keeping the money flowing. The Grattan Institute's Household Finances Program Director, Brendan Coates, said in an interview with realestate.com.au that switching stamp duty with a broader-based property tax could effectively make the states and territories up to $17 billion better off, but the money would ultimately come out of the pockets of property owners. And here's the thing, guys. The states are already in tremendous debt. What are they going to do? Just spin it around more? Would that increase rents as well? Because the cost of having a property is going to increase. But then people can negative gear more of it. It's just a horrific mess, all of this is. Stamp duty has a long history in Australia because it's a very easy tax to levy, according to Mr. Coates. But while the heftiest stamp duty bills are levied on prestige property purchases, relative to buyers' income, it's typically the lower and middle market that feel the brunt of the tax. Experts agree that a more effective replacement for stamp duty will likely see the tax spread over the lifetime of property ownership in the form of a land tax, collected regularly, similar to the way council rates are collected now. Fantastic. What do you think, guys? Would you rather stamp duty or would you rather a land tax? Would you rather have that stamp duty money and then you could probably put it maybe in an investment portfolio, maybe in some shares to generate some revenue to help offset that land tax? What do you think? That means every property owner, irrespective of whether they have an investment or a family home, would actually be paying more rates. And instead of just paying rates to the local council, they'll also be paying rates to their state government as well, said Miss Morgan. While the amount of stamp duty depends on which suburb a buyer chooses to purchase in across the state and territories, more generally, the higher the value of the property, the more a buyer will pay. Prospective buyers will need to brace themselves for an ongoing bill as the trade off to remove the stamp duty, she explained. And the changes to the laws typically take a long time to pass, and that's why they're arguing that you shouldn't wait for it. You shouldn't wait for it. You should just take the jump, guys. Just take the jump. Now, let me know, guys. Am I mistaken in thinking no one was waiting for this stamp duty removal or potential removal to hold off on buying? I honestly think there are a wealth of other reasons to just wait and see how the market goes. Stamp duty wasn't at the top of my list. I hadn't even picked up on it in all the stuff I've been reading. So let me know if I've missed something, everyone. Let me know if I've missed it. Would this be something you'd hold off? Would you rather have stamp duty or would you rather have a land tax? Let me know. Argue it out in the comments below. I can see advantages and disadvantages to both. I'd rather have no tax at all. But somehow I think they're going to just make us pay another way. One way or another. It's just about hiding the tax, isn't it? It's just about the way for hiding the tax. I know some people are advocating for like a transaction tax, but that can add up really quick. Really, really quick. Anyway, everyone, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. Simply interacting with the channel, letting the algorithm at YouTube know that you're enjoying the content. If you're a fan and want to support us a little bit extra, you can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon, support us via our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay, buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time.